No one even proposed that. People say, well, what about, I watched Spartacus, and Spartacus, Kirk Douglas, says, we're going to fight until all the slaves are free. That's total horseradish. Spartacus did not. Spartacus and his army took their own slaves. The Zanj rebels in southern Iraq in the 800s, they took their own slaves, right? They didn't want to be slaves. They wanted to have other people be their slaves, right? So this idea that there's these like kind of, noble
abolitionists before.
Yeah, this is just not true. It's not accurate. Okay, it would be like us saying, now there's like ChatGPT and stuff, which is, it's actually maybe a good analogy in a way, because imagine, Paul, you and I said like, there's not going to be like learning anymore. You'd be like, what? Like, I don't understand what that means. Like, what do you mean there's not going to be learning? Like, how do you, like, that's sort of like, there's no slavery. It would be like, what do you mean there's no such thing as slavery? Like, who's going to do work? So this is what Aristotle said in his Politics. Mashallah, Aristotle, this guy was a very smart person. He said, you will need slaves until looms move themselves. Looms like that weave cloth. He said, until looms move themselves, you'll need slaves. And guess what happened?
Industrial Revolution.
Anyone think about this? When did people start talking about abolitionism? 1700s, 1800s. Late 1700s, 1800s.
Oh, and where? In England, well before. Where the Industrial Revolution began.
England, and in the northern British colonies of what became the United States, places where, one, they'd gotten fabulously rich. They'd gotten fabulously rich without using slaves, because they'd gotten fabulously rich from industry. Right? Now you don't need people to move things. You don't need animals to move things, because you have water, then you have steam. This is what is the kind of preposterous. This is, I find it to be kind of preposterous, right? So the main narrative that still historians follow, a lot of historians, is that, like you read earlier, human beings just like wake up one day in the 1700s, 1800s, they're like, slavery is wrong. Like, oh, wow. Like, that's what happened? Are they getting more calories? Were they getting more zinc in their diet or something? No. What happened? Right? They by the way, and it's funny, because it's the genius of Western civilization. Well, Western civilization had no problem with slaves before that. They had tons of slaves. They had no problem with it in Christianity. They had no problem in their philosophy. They had no problem in their law. That's why John Locke, for example, he had no problem with enslaving Africans, because he said African people are basically savages who fight each other. They don't respect the laws of nations when they fight each other. And if you don't respect the laws of nations, you can be enslaved by Roman law. That's what he said. That's what he actually has an argument. It's not just he's a hypocrite and he loves liberty here, but he trades in slaves over there. No, he says this is allowed.
And he's a father of liberalism, by the way.